Welcome to Musical Miles Podcast, where we chase songs across state lines and dive deep into the stories behind the music. From legendary songwriters to rising stars, from backroad honky-tonks to festival stages, we bring you the voices, venues, and the fans that keep live music alive. We're Byron and Shanda, and we're on a mission to capture the heart of American music, 1 mile at a time. Let's hit the road. Welcome to Musical Miles Podcast. I'm your host, Byron Duffin, and I am here with Miss Joni Harms. How are you?
I'm good, Byron. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for saying yes.
Oh, my pleasure.
We don't get very many people that tell us no, but we raised 4 kids, so we know how to say no ourselves. So we can't be too disappointed. But this is such a cool deal. So we are here in Wickenburg, Arizona.
That's right.
At the Art of the Cowgirl.
Yes.
And you have actually played here 7 times.
Yes.
This
since
is
the beginning.
Since the very beginning. So, and it was started by Tammy Pate.
That's right.
And Tammy passed away a couple of years ago, or so. Is it been
Well,
2?
it was about a year and a half, because we did a tribute to her last year here.
Yeah. It's a sad deal. But
I'm sure she's happy with what we're carrying on.
Yeah, I'm sure she is.
Yeah.
Well, it's really grown into something. This is our first time here.
Okay.
We've been to Wickenburg many, many times over the years. Miss Shanda grew up in Arizona.
Okay.
So she's an Arizona native. I drug her off to Idaho a few years ago, 43 years ago. So we've.
So you're probably happy to be back in Arizona.
Especially with the weather the way it is.
Oh, for sure.
Because we live in, southeast Idaho, and it's not real balmy there.
No, well, I live in Oregon, so
Yes.
same type of thing.
You're kind of over close to the coast, right? I mean, how far are you in from the coast?
Well, we're really located almost right between the coast and Mount Hood. So if we want a little fix of the beach, we go to the beach. If we want a little fix of the mountain and the snow, we can go there. So it's really pretty lovely. And my great-great-great-grandfather homesteaded there in 1872. So our family has been there 160 years.
That is so cool. We talked about that on the way over here, that your family has been so entrenched in the ranching culture and that world for so many years. And I shared with you, my family came to Idaho in 1916 and in the little town of Aberdeen, and we've been there. Most of the family's gone now, and even we left 20 some years ago, but our hearts and souls are connected to agriculture, the farming and ranching industry, and the music, right?
It's hard to leave.
Yeah. So, well, that's cool. So, you're married and have raised 2 children. Is that correct?
That's right.
So, a boy and a girl?
That's correct. And I'm blessed because my son Luke, who will be 26 this April, will be the 6th generation out on the ranch.
Oh, that's so cool.
And he's following, he works for John Deere.
Okay.
And sells farm implements and tractors, and then also runs our ranch.
Okay.
So I have him following my passion for ranching and farming, and then my daughter Olivia is in the music business and doing very well with that. So,
who we were very blessed to meet in Vegas.
Good.
And got to interview her there. Such a sweet girl. And we just had, and she was just getting pulled a million directions, and she was so accommodating. We kept texting back and forth, and she'd say, yeah, can we do it now? And I got interrupted that. Anyway, but we just worked it out, and I was so glad we did, because she was such a great interview.
Well, that's nice to hear.
So let's talk about your music career, because very long storied career. Do I dare say 30, 40?
Well, I started in my early 20s, and I was signed by the legendary Jimmy Bowen to Capitol Records, and we, it was just an amazing thing. Started out at Universal Records, and so I was able to write with writers I'd never, really co-written before then, but he introduced me to the whole idea of co-writing.
Right.
And so we recorded a full album, and then it was released on Capitol, but the singles were released on Universal Records, and I had 2 top 20 singles out of the chute on Billboard charts from that.
That's awesome.
And then
what were those titles?
It was Bluer Than His Eyes and I Need a Wife.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I Need a Wife is obviously a novelty song that was kind of ahead of its time, because I wrote that with a fellow by the name of Dan Tyler, who's responsible for songs like Bobby Sue and 20 Years Ago that Kenny Rogers did, and wonderful songwriter. And he said, I think that the women these days are all starting to get jobs and try to carry big loads of not only jobs at home, but their other job, and then if they start a family. And so we just were kind of joking, and I said, well, some of my friends say they need a wife. And he said, there's our song title.
There you go.
So we wrote it, and it did very well. And then things were, just for whatever reason, the music business. It's just life. It didn't work out to be perfect there, but then I ended up signing with Warner Brothers.
Sure.
And I also wrote for Anne Murray's publishing company, for Charlie Daniels' publishing company, and so I really crafted my songwriting skills and learned so much from having those opportunities.
Right.
I call it my college years that I got to have in Nashville, and
Yeah.
really just did so many fun things. Played the Opry, played a lot of those shows that back then were called like Nashville Now and
Oh yeah.
and
I
Today's
remember.
Country.
We
and
remember them well.
Yeah.
Yeah, Miss Shenda's mom was a songwriter here in Arizona, and she would go out to the songwriter in the spring to the Songwriter Festival, and she'd come home and say, "Look, I saw this artist at the Bluebird,
Okay.
and I saw this artist here," and she'd say, "Pay attention because these guys are going to be stars," and they were Randy Travis and Garth Brooks and Clint Black
Yeah.
and KT Oslin. And,
Yeah, I was blessed to kind of be right in there with a lot of those.
You were. Yeah, in the 90s, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. How much time did you spend in Nashville?
Well, I never wanted to pack up and move because of the ranch history,
Right.
but I surely had a lot of experiences there, and probably would say that because I was a staff songwriter and then I had the record deals, and I was there at least every other month, if not every month, spending some time doing things there. Yeah.
So you never ever lived there permanently?
No, but I suppose during sometimes when that was really busy, then I would spend close to a month there at a time.
Did you ever know? Do you know Stephanie Davis?
Of course.
Yeah, we got to meet Stephanie and interview her in Livingston at the Songwriter Festival there.
Oh, wonderful!
What
Isn't she a
cool
great
lady.
gal?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we love the Songwriter Festivals. We got to, interview, we got to meet, we didn't get to interview him, but Even Stevens, but we got to meet Even. It was just too busy. That was our first one we went to, was Livingston, and did get to interview James Dean Hicks, though, and James Dean was a great interview.
Yeah.
And anyway, it's been really fun. And so now, they've scheduled us to come back to Cody, to Livingston, to Red Lodge, and to Whitefish. So we're going to get to go back to all of them this year.
We'll enjoy that.
and
Yes,
do
I'm sure you will.
Because we get to hear the stories, the backstories, and that's what we love about, one, this is such a cool job anyway, but to get to meet the artists, but to get to hear your story about how you ended up where you did musically.
Right.
So let's go back a little bit further. Who in the family was musical? Was your mother or your dad? Or?
Pretty much my whole family. I would say my dad was the musical one, and my mother was extremely creative with her ability to write. She would write Christmas letters. I mean, that's back when everybody sent Christmas letters and cards to each other, and she would work for weeks on her letter, and people would almost want to frame it because it was just so beautifully written.
Right.
And so she made copies and didn't do individual to everybody, but she put a lot of time and effort into the letters that she wrote, and so. And I mean, they were almost like poetry.
Sure.
And so I think my creative side of writing is from Mom, and my dad probably, he could play about any instrument he picked up.
Really?
And then I have a brother, Buck, and a sister, Chris. And Chris is 11 years older than I am, and my brother, Buck, is 10 years older. So I'm sure that, I maybe wasn't even planned. But when I...
We have one of those.
Your parents have dessert.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Our oldest is 41 and our youngest is 24, almost 25.
Okay.
So not what you call Planned Parenthood. So Shanda always told me, he said, "Mom, was that an accident?" She said, "Absolutely not. Your dessert." Because that comes at the end of the meal, right?
That's a perfect way of putting it.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Well, I think I was dessert, and then I was expected to join in and sing at an early age and jumping on the harmonies because everybody, my brother Buck, sister Chris, and my dad John, and my mother Anna, all played. Mom more was a little bit of piano, and then on Sundays after church, it was just tradition. I mean, what we did, we would come home from church, and Mom would start a Sunday supper, and my dad and my brother and sister would play some music, and so then I usually would just try to join in any way I could too.
Sure.
And I loved it from the beginning.
So about how old were you when you picked up the guitar?
Well, I suppose about 7 or 8, and I got
Oh, wow.
serious about that. I sang from age 5 at a couple of
Okay.
rodeos and things like that.
Sure.
But I probably started writing songs about my dog and my horse and things like that when I was probably 7 or 8. So then I started fiddling with the guitar, and
Yeah.
my brother Buck and Dad both showed me some chords.
Sure.
But neither one of them really said, we're going to sit down and have a lesson. They just showed me a few chords, and if I wanted to learn, I had to do it myself.
Sure.
And I did.
Well, and that's the thing. It takes a lot of effort, a lot more effort. We all want to just pick up a guitar and play, right? It just doesn't happen. And I started 50 years ago and didn't stick with it. I started roping and playing the guitar about the same time, and I chose a rope over the guitar, and I don't know whether right or wrong. I loved to rope, and I had some success, and it was a lot of fun. But I love that guitar, and I play every day now. I started a year ago.
Good.
Playing every day. So
Well, it's never too late.
And no, it's not. And if I can learn it, anybody can. And so, yeah.
Well, it's just taking that dedication to, get those calluses on your fingers. And yes, sir, there they are.
They're there.
And, I remember when Olivia was learning. I mean, that was one of the hardest things that was for her, too, to just commit to spending time until it didn't hurt so bad to play a chord anymore.
Right. Well, she's such a beautiful girl, and she's got a beautiful voice, and she basically came out of the womb, I'm sure, singing, because she was on stage with you right after she was born, right?
That's
a matter
a true
of days.
story. Well,
Yeah, I had read that.
Yeah, quickly I'll tell the story. I was booked with Clint Black and Ricky Skaggs and Lori Morgan, with all playing at the Portland Speedway.
Oh, wow.
And so it was coming close. It was actually supposed to be scheduled for the 15th of June that year. So I went into the doctor and I said, Doc, I've got a concert that I don't want to miss. And so he said, well, you're real close, but he said, if you haven't gone into labor by the 13th of June, come on in and we'll induce. So I went in on June 13th, and not kidding, checked into into room 13, and at 1:13,
Oh, you're kidding.
which military time is 13:13, right?
Right.
Along came Olivia,
Oh, my
and
goodness.
so we went home the next morning on the 14th, and I took her to the show with me on the 15th.
That is crazy. Yeah, just barely a day old, a little over a day.
Yeah.
2 days, yeah. That's so
And
amazing.
she's pretty much been traveling with me ever since.
That's what I had read that about both of you. We try and do our homework and listen to music. And now you've done how many albums now?
14.
Oh, 14. Somebody else I read about today had 7.
That's okay.
Oh, it all kind of runs together, as many artists as we've interviewed. So,
Sure, I understand.
Yeah. So 14.
Yeah.
Wow.
And one with Olivia.
And one with Olivia. And yeah, because Olivia, her first album was at 16, right?
That's right.
And then it went almost 10 or 11 years, right, before she got another one.
Yeah.
But what a great story. And she got a lot of experience following Mom around and got to meet everybody, and that was the cool thing. And that's been fun about interviewing artists that have grown up in the industry. Guys like Django Walker, Jerry Jeff's son,
Yeah.
to tell stories about sitting at the kitchen table with Hoyt Axton. He didn't know who Hoyt Axton
No,
was. He's
that's
just an
right.
old friend of Dad's, right?
That's right.
Yeah, and so Olivia's been in that same scenario.
She has,
right?
yeah.
Right. Well, that's cool. Well, so 14 albums. No, is
Yes,
that right?
correct.
14 albums. When was the last one you cut?
Well, I was lucky 13 on my own, and then we did the one that Olivia and I did, which is just called Favorites.
Okay.
And so we did a cover, some cover songs that we just loved and sang
yeah.
harmony with each other on them.
Oh, that's great.
And so it's very special.
Yeah.
But last single album on my own was one called Lucky 13, and ever since Olivia was born, that became my lucky
Your
number.
lucky number. I've
Yeah.
always liked that number myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people are afraid of it. I'm the opposite.
No. We just. Yeah, I'm superstitious about some things, but that's not it. That's
Not
not
one.
one of them.
I agree.
But well, cool. So, how many shows a year are you still doing?
100, probably.
100 shows
yeah.
a year still.
And, I still love it. I'm a little more selective than I used to be.
Sure.
But I keep getting asked to do cool stuff, so I'm not going to stop.
Well, like this. This is such a cool event. And I'm sure you've seen it really, really grow. Oh, yes. So, two things that we read in your bio that I loved was your experience about playing in Nashville at the Grand Ole Opry. You stood in the circle at the Grand Ole Opry. what a cool experience.
Yeah.
We've actually stood in the circle at Grand Ole Opry, but just as a wannabe. We got to tour and see it.
Yeah, I've played there probably 15, 16 times, and that's it. And I hope to get to do it again, and played Carnegie Hall. And, I've played some pretty amazing places. But, really, it doesn't always have to be such a huge audience to do and have an enjoyable time and a great audience. A lot of times,
more memorable.
Yeah, a lot of times some of these little theaters are the best, where you could hear a pin drop. And I love doing the story behind the song and telling stories about the songs I've written. And when you can do shows where people really want to listen to that, it's the best.
We got our first experience. I got my first experience with the songwriter at Livingston, where we got to meet Eva and Stephanie and those guys, which was really cool. But Miss Shanda got to go with me to Whitefish, and then we went to the Redbird in New Braunfels, and those listening rooms and songwriter festivals are a whole different experience than a bar room or even a festival.
Yeah, you get kicked out if you get too loud.
Oh no, they tell you up front.
You can't make any.
At the Redbird, shut your phone off. If you want to talk to the person next to you, go outside and talk. We're here to listen to music, and I love that because we named this podcast Musical Miles for a reason. We have traveled tens of thousands of miles for live music. We have been from Key West, Florida to California, from Canada to Mexico, and we've sought out live music wherever we go.
What a fun job!
And but that was even before it was a job. That was just our passion. That was our love. Even though we're not musical technically. I mean, I'm a little bit now, but she, like I say, Shanda's mom was a songwriter, and she had a grand piano in her house, and she would play Shanda to sleep every night. But she just thought one day she'd just be able to sit down at the piano and play, and that didn't happen. So, but anyway, well, so your son, is he musical at all?
He is, but that's not his passion.
Yeah.
His passion is really ranching and farming, and he grew up with my dad because my folks lived on the place when we were buying it from them, and he just loved to go spend time on the tractors and just farm with my dad, and I could tell it was really something he loved and wanted to pursue even at a very young age. So both my kids that way.
Yeah.
And I just always told them, follow your dreams and the money will come. I don't think that it has to have a college degree. Nobody has to have, if you're doing something that you really truly love and have a passion for it. And that's what life's about. How I feel sorry for people that think they have to go to a job just because it maybe will give them a good finance, or make some money.
Money doesn't make you happy.
Not if you're not happy. That's right.
Not if you're not happy. And so, there's so many things that make us happy.
That's right.
And for us, it's music and meeting people and hearing the stories and hearing, people will say to us, Byron, I don't know that person you interviewed on your podcast. I said, no, but let me tell you a couple of things you're going to get out of it. If you listen to our podcast, you're going to get to hear the story about that artist, where they came from, what their struggles were, or how they were raised, or what really drove them to be there, and then you're going to hear what the song's about, because a lot of people think that for all of us growing up, you listen to George Strait or to Lyle Lovett or any of those guys. Now Lyle writes a lot of his own music. George not so much.
Right.
Dean Dillon's wrote most of his stuff.
Yes,
and,
right.
And so but most people don't know that, and they don't even know who Dean Dillon is. I do, because I love the music, right? But I want to know those stories and be able to share them with our listeners, right?
Yeah.
And hear what so what's your plan? You plan to continue to just keep traveling and touring, and as long as it works for you?
Well, absolutely, and my kids keep me young. I mean, Olivia, I'm going to definitely want to follow her. We do some shows together still, which is just a hoot. We're best friends.
Yeah.
So it's not. It's neat when mother-daughter can be that way.
So has it been a little hard for her to move off to a ranch in California?
I think she's loving it. But we still talk every day. And need to make sure we catch up with each other at least once a month somewhere, whether it be out on the road at a show, or she'll come home, or I'll go up there, or down there, I guess I should say. But I mean, it's an adjustment. But she waited a long time until she found Mr. Right.
Yeah.
And they're just as cute a couple as they can be. They got married on the ranch last summer, and now Luke and his fiancée Maddie are getting married at the ranch this summer.
Oh, fun.
So one after the other.
No grandchildren yet.
No.
So, but trust me, that's the best part.
I've heard
mean,
that.
I mean, kids are great. We love our kids. We have 4, but we have 9 grandkids and 1 great grandkid.
Wow.
And so we just, that's the cool part about life, right? I tease. I said, if we could have just got rid of the kids and went right to grandkids, that's where we'd have started if we could have done that. But you can't, because you got to have somebody to send them home.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it when the time comes, for sure.
Well, fun. Well, you'll enjoy that. Well, and what I look forward to is, and I think you will too, is to sing to those grandkids. And,
Oh, yeah.
Now, you've written some books, right?
Well, I have a children's album.
Children's album.
And then I made some books to go with some of the songs on there. And then I have a coloring book that goes, for each song on the album, there's a page to color.
Okay, that's what it was. In fact, we listened to one of them. Which one was it? Wash Your Hands.
Yeah, Germs.
Germs,
Yeah.
That's what it is. Sorry. I'm listening and I'm going, okay, this is off of Joni's Kids album, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, that's funny.
But it's been really a well-received product, and I've done really well with that.
I'm sure.
There's not a lot of good kids' music out there,
No,
Bernard,
there's not, unfortunately.
And so I said, I can do better than, or at least as good as some of these ones that people were giving to me for the kids when they were little. So I wrote those.
Well, our grandkids will get in the car with us, and they go, hey...
Are we there
yet? They call
yet?
us Cowboy and Glam, right? So they go, hey, Glam or Cowboy, can I see your phone? And they want to pick their music, and you're going, what in the heck are we listening to? And they're not all that old, like 12. We have older ones that are married, step-grandchildren, but the ones like 12, 9, 10, 11, 12. But some of the stuff they'll play, we're just looking at each other going, yeah, I don't think we need to listen to this. So anyway, and we're encouraging them. I'm trying to get them all to play the guitar. They all have guitars. We've bought them guitars, and the three of the younger ones have guitars.
The gift of music is a wonderful thing.
Oh, it is. Well, it speaks to us all in a different way, right? But
that's right.
But James Dean Hicks put it very succinctly, and I love this, and I've used it multiple times. But he said, "Music is the salve that heals all."
That is nice.
Yeah. So anyway, well, we appreciate you taking time. It's always fun to get to meet someone, and especially someone the mother of someone who we've already interviewed.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're both in the industry and that you've both been, and it would really be stupid of me or poor. Unprofessional of me not to mention all your accolades, but it would take us a 30 or 40 minute to do it. But you have won a lot of awards and been very, very successful in your career, and congratulations on that.
Well, thank you. I'm proud of those, but would be doing this music whether I ever had any of them. That isn't why I do it by any means. Is for praise or awards. I do it because I love it. I just put together a marketing packet for the podcast, and I put that in there. I said, you know what? Without a stage, you don't have anywhere to go. We say there's 4 components to a successful music. There's the artist, the song, right? The fan, or the venues, and the fan. And without one of those 4 parts of it, you don't have a complete. That's so true.
Package. So, but I said, even without one of those, or without all of them, you would still write the music and sing the songs.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's been just a pleasure to be able to bring our music to as many people as we had, and I don't want to stop yet. So I want to,
cool.
and I'm still writing a lot of new songs, and so is Olivia, and and I always get excited when I have somebody else record one of my songs as well.
Yes.
And so I've had some success with that. And
who have you had record some of your music?
Well, George recorded one of mine,
George
Two Step in
Strait?
Texas Blue, and
so cool.
Cowboy Up was recorded by Chris Leoo.
Oh yeah.
And
we got to interview Ned, so.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, what a great guy.
I think Olivia and Ned are doing some songs together, which is super cool and doing some shows because I got to do so many with Chris.
Right, and she told me that.
Yeah.
That you got to tour with Chris.
Yeah. And it was really neat because we knew each other from Rodeo.
Right.
And then also through both being signed at Capitol Records at the same time.
Sure. Well, I was always a huge Chris fan. I told Ned, I said, I'm one of those guys who wore out that tape of Chris Ledoux.
Yeah.
More than one, right? Because I rodeoed and that's what we did. We got in the truck and we plugged in a Chris Ledoux tape and down
good
the
old
road
days
we
when
went.
he used to sell them out of the back end of his rig.
Exactly. What a great story. And I didn't know this until I got to interview him, but Ned had never planned on being a frontman.
Yeah.
You know, so that's a great story. So, but anyway, I just, it's been a lot of fun. And before we go, I'm going to ask you if you would grab that guitar. That is a Teton guitar.
It's beautiful.
Out of Idaho Falls. That's a solid spruce top willow back and sides. So, and we have actually filled it. This is the fourth one Teton's given us.
Wow.
We filled them up with autographs, and so it's been a lot of fun to do that.
Then do you auction them off at
No,
some?
they're hanging in my office.
In your house?
Well,
Okay.
one of them I gave away, and I think I shared that with you. The one Olivia signed was it was a spalted maple. It was absolutely gorgeous, and I had him sign the back of it because I didn't want him to mess up the front. And this one I'm going to have everybody autograph the back as well. So, but anyway, yeah, tell us. So what are you going to play us?
I think I'll play one for you since we've been talking about ranching.
Yeah.
This is on my Lucky 13 album, and I wrote this kind of for my son Luke, and it's and all the Harms family ranchers that have been there prior. It's called God Bless the Farmers, and you know, it's sad today to talk to young people that don't really understand where food comes from.
Oh.
They go to the grocery store, the restaurant, or McDonald's, and think that's where it all began, and
Right.
that's so untrue. So anyway, so this is God Bless the Farmers, and so any of you farmers and ranchers out there, this is for you.
Thank you.
God bless the farmers, working 7 days a week. Lord knows without 'em we wouldn't eat. The world's on their shoulders, still proudly they stand. So God bless the farmers of this land. They're already working when you start your day, planting crops and feeding stock so you can fill your plate. They're out there on a tractor through rain and the sun, putting in an honest day of work that's never done. So God bless the farmers, working 7 days a week. Lord knows without 'em we wouldn't eat. The world's on their shoulders, still proudly they stand. So God bless the farmers of this land. Many generations they've proudly worked the land. Know their job's important, they do all that they can. So when you gather around your table and you bow your heads to pray, when you're counting all your blessings, don't forget to say, God bless the farmers, working 7 days a week. Lord knows without 'em we wouldn't eat. The world's on their shoulders, still proudly they stand. So God bless the farmers of this land. Oh, God bless the farmers of this land.
Oh, thank you so much. That's great. I tell everybody I am an Idaho farm boy that always wanted to be a cowboy. So I said there was a lot more glory in being a cowboy than there was in being a farmer, right? But that's where my roots are, is in farming and agriculture, and so.
Well, then you'll relate to that one for sure.
Oh, 100%.
They are long hours sometimes.
Yeah, they are.
Out of a farmer.
Lots of long hours. I also loved your song, your original song you wrote for Yellowstone out there on the stage. We got to hear you perform that. That's a great song, and that resonated with me because I have some friends who are on Yellowstone, who have been on Yellowstone. A good friend of mine has been the stunt double for Rip on there since it started. Cooper Taylor. His dad's Buck Taylor. You know who Buck is.
Sure.
Yeah. So anyway, great family. So, but anyway, yeah, cool. Well, thank you again. Do me a favor and autograph that for me.
Yes, I
Flip
would
it over
love
on
to.
the back side. And
Am I the first one?
Well, you're the second one. So
Okay.
we had Ashley.
So fairly small.
Oh, you can write it where as big as you want. She just wrote small. You write
Okay.
big, and then I had her write.
Is that going to show enough
Yep,
on there?
yep,
Okay.
we're good.
Because I have a black one in my
No,
purse.
I liked the gold. I did the gold on the last one, and even though it doesn't show up as quite as, but when you get it in the right light, it shows up good.
Oh
and,
yeah, it's a beautiful guitar.
and it's pretty and it's different, and but it's always fun to hear somebody sing us a song, and then we have a memento and from your time.
Absolutely.
But it's really been a pleasure once again. Thank you so much.
Oh yeah, thank you for
We look
having
forward
me.
to listening to you again this week. We're here throughout the week, and so we'll hopefully get to catch you again. So
Absolutely.
anyway, and when you see Adrian, if you see Adrian, tell her she better reach out to me, because I tried to interview her
Okay.
in Elko, and we missed her. So
Okay.
we've known her for a long time, just trying to catch up with her. She's a little cagey.
Okay. Will do. Thanks again for having me.
Thank you so
All
much.
right.
Hey, for Musical Miles Podcast, I'm your host, Byron Duff, and we are here with Mrs. Joni Harms from Wickenburg, Arizona at the Art of the Cowgirl. We'll see you somewhere down the road. Adios for now.